Welcome to the Kentucky Early Childhood Data System, or KEDS, Fall 2013 Data Update. My name is Caroline Gooden. I'm one of the directors of the KEDS project. This slide shows you the rest of the KEDS leadership team. We all work closely with you and KDE to report student progress each year. These are the most important timelines for the three KEDS data seasons. Fall and winter are for entry data for most students, and spring is for exit data for most students. The dates are listed when Infinite Campus entries should be done, when KEDS opens and closes for each season, and the recommended times for assessments each data season. Those specific assessment times are determined individually by each district. This slide shows you the two main KEDS goals that relate to preschool data. First, KEDS collects assessment data from districts for all state-funded preschoolers so that KDE can report progress to the federal government. Second, and most important for districts, by conducting ongoing assessments with the approved instruments, teachers have a wealth of information available to them to inform their instruction and to share with families. Today we'll review four different aspects of the data analysis reporting. First, we'll talk about the three federal child outcomes that are measured for students who leave preschool. Second, we'll examine the results for these three outcomes for the past 3 years, since 2009, for students with individual education plans, or IEPs. Third, we'll examine the most recent results for 2011-12 school year for students with and without IEPs. And fourth, we'll discuss the two federal targets or goals for exiting students with IEPs. So first, let's look at the three federal child outcomes. They include, first, A, children having positive social skills, B, children's acquisition of knowledge and skills, and C, the appropriate use of behavior to meet needs. These goals are designed to be broad and cover several developmental areas. Let's examine each one. The development of social skills includes relationships with peers and with adults, and following expected social rules. Some examples of these skills include that students initiate and maintain positive interactions with children and adults, participate in a variety of settings such as on the playground, at home, in childcare, follow expected rules, and solve conflicts in acceptable ways for their age. The acquisition of knowledge and skills includes students' abilities to think, reason, remember, and problem solve in a variety of settings, and that they acquire pre-academic knowledge such as using a rich verbal, nonverbal, or augmentative communication system, developing pre-academic skills for reading and math, showing creativity and symbolic thought, and solving problems. Slide 9 describes the third child outcome, or the use of appropriate behavior to meet physical and psychological needs for comfort, safety, well-being, and engagement. Some examples include communicating needs in a variety of forms, meeting self-care needs such as eating and dressing, asking for help, and following rules. Each of the three outcomes is scored based on exiting students' assessment results and age according to one of 5 levels as set by the federal government. Level A means that a student has made no item changes at all for that outcome. Level B means that there has been some skill improvement. Level C means that skills are improving, though not yet reaching age-appropriate levels. Level D means that the student has achieved age-appropriate functioning. And Level E means that the student has maintained age-appropriate functioning for that outcome. Let's look at the second component of data analyses. We'll review the results of assessment data for the past 3 years from 2009-10 school year to 2011-12 for students with IEPs. To help us understand these results, we need to note some changes for the student data over the past 3 years. In 2009 and 10 school year, that was phase 4 for the assessment process, with most but not all districts reporting data. In 2010 to 11 school year, that included all districts of Phase 5, with most districts submitting data. School year 2011-12 is the first year that included some data from all districts. There were not many changes in the number of students with IEPs from the prior year. There was a significant change in assessments, however. Creative curriculum was replaced by Gold for a majority of the districts. Since Gold items extend to the kindergarten level, preliminary research indicates that some items may be more difficult. This shows the results for 3 years of data for Outcome A, the development of positive social skills for students with IEPs. On each of these next 3 slides, you'll see that there were 2,904 students with IEPs with complete data, as indicated by the yellow bars. There were 5,398 students in 10-11, as indicated by the green bar, and there were 5,691 students in 11-12, as indicated by the blue bar. The key at the bottom shows you levels A through E, as we discussed earlier. You can see some changes for each of the 3 years, with a trend in 11-12 for fewer students in D and E. Next, we look at the results for Outcome B, the acquisition of knowledge and skills. Outcome B includes data from the largest number of assessment items for pre-academic, cognitive, and language skills for students with IEPs. This slide shows the results for students' use of adaptive behavior to meet their needs for the last 3 years and includes self-care, health, and wellness items. The same decreasing trend in levels D and E is seen here for 11-12. Next, we'll examine the results of data for the 2011-12 year for students with and without IEPs. These next 3 slides show that we had 5,691 exiting students with IEPs and 12,256 exiting students who did not have IEPs and who generally are at risk. This shows the results for Outcome A, social skills. As expected, more students without IEPs achieve levels D and E. This slide shows the results for the acquisition of knowledge and skills. Again, there is the same trend for students with and without IEPs. This slide shows the results for all students' adaptive behavior in 11-12, with again the same consistent trend. Are you ready for the last part of the data results? To conclude, we'll examine the targets or goals that we established in Kentucky for each of the 3 child outcomes. The 2 targets combine several of the levels of functioning for each outcome. Let's see how this is done. The first federal target summarizes the numbers of students who substantially improved during their time with us in preschool. To calculate this percentage for each outcome, we add the percentages of children at C and D and divide by percentages of children in A, B, C, and D. The second federal target looks at the percent of students who exit preschool at age-appropriate levels for each outcome, that is, who are in levels D and E when they exit. This slide shows the results of targets for 11-12 and for 12-13. You can see the results of the data for 11-12 in the first data column for Target 1 and Target 2 for each outcome A, B, and C. Next, you'll see the targets that were established for 11-12. We exceeded all of our targets except for Target 1, Outcome B. Targets for 12-13 are in the far right column. This is lots of information. If you have questions, our contact information is included here. You may call, fax, or email us. And thanks for all that you do for Kentucky's preschool students.